All right, hello, welcome everybody. This is C.W. Wade. It's a little noisy because it is raining out here in sunny California. As I've announced on my blog and Facebook and Twitter, the appeals court has ruled in my favor in Wolfgang Halbig's lawsuit versus me. Back in 2015, Wolfgang Halbig was all through 2014, he was promising a class action lawsuit. He was going to prove Sandy Hook was a hoax or an illusion and all these different things, and he was raising money making these false claims. He sued a bunch of bloggers claiming that they were defaming him when they were really just exposing his false statements. Additionally, or at the time, he didn't originally name my blog in the lawsuit. He added me later when he hit me with a subpoena. And I took him to court over that. I hired counsel. I took him to court. I defeated him in court. He had withdrawn the case, and he was claiming in court that he prevailed over me because he withdrew the case. So he didn't appeal. He didn't appear, but he wanted to try to claim victory. I, of course, claimed that I was the prevailing party because he withdrew the case, and I was entitled to attorney fees and costs in accordance with California's anti-SLAPP statutes, which provide that the court must award me fees and costs if we prevail when someone is attempting to infringe on the First Amendment rights. And that's what Halbig was doing to me. He was attempting to use the power of the courts to infringe on my First Amendment free speech rights, and he failed. The court awarded me only $23,000. We were asking for, I think, $46,000. It's actually in this ruling if you want to look at the exact number we were asking for. But we got it less than half of what we were asking for. So Halbig didn't like the ruling, of course, and he appealed it. He also appealed that the court awarded us too much money, and we appealed that the court didn't award us enough money. So the case has literally languished in the appeals court for months and months and months, if not years. And finally, we had a hearing. I think it was last week, no more than the week before. There was actually a hearing. Halbig, of course, did not appear for the hearing. But his counsel did. Counsel can appear in lieu of parties in these type of cases. And again, the appeals court has ruled in my favor. What the appeals court has done is affirmed that I was the prevailing party and entitled to attorney fees and costs. And it has sent the case back to the trial court to determine how much I'm entitled to. And they suggest 192 hours. They seem to suggest. We'll see what the court does. I don't know, but I'm purely speculating that 192 hours plus paralegal costs and, at about $200 an hour, $250 an hour, it's all broken down in the filings, and it's going to be quite expensive for Halbig if I do say so myself. Furthermore, we get our costs on appeal. You can go to my blog. It has the links. You can read about the case on my blog. You can go to the California Court of Appeals website. It is see where it says certified for publication? This is case law now in California. This has set a precedent. And so that's pretty exciting itself. Furthermore, or in addition, Halbig could actually, of course, appeal. This is the appellate decision. He could ask, I think, for a new hearing. He could also conceivably appeal to the California Supreme Court. I can almost assure you, because of the climate of California, California is very much a free speech state. They don't like fake slap lawsuits like the lawsuit here that Wolfgang Halbig and Conlin filed. Cynthia Conlin out of Orlando was his attorney that filed the original slap suit. And the California courts do not, and California law do not favor these type of suits where they're just trying to silence critics who are just asserting their free speech. So it's almost for sure that if Halbig does appeal it, he will lose again. He will add on more fees and costs, which he's going to be responsible for the Court of Appeals costs, all of those. And I don't even know what those are at this point, but I think it's in a neighborhood of another $40,000. So I anticipate an award, if Halbig does nothing else, in the neighborhood of $100,000. That's just a guess. It's definitely going to be up there, whatever it is, in my opinion. We'll have to see what when it finally gets back to the trial court and gets processed and gets on calendar, and the judge makes a ruling, and there may be additional hearings, and that's going to add more fees and costs to Halbig. Halbig's going to be paying all of these. Plus, he's going to have to pay his own attorney. So, Halbig has lost this case. The Court of Appeals, a 3-judge panel. I'll just note for the record that this was 3 female judges. That's pretty new in California, and that's pretty rare in, as I understand it, in reviewing in the justice system. So I think that's awesome. And I think they made a great ruling, and they interpreted the law correctly, and it's obviously correct under California law, and I appreciate them very much. My attorneys, James Wagner and Gran, they're awesome. They've dealt with a lot dealing with hoaxers, and it's been quite an ordeal going through this. But Wolfgang Halbig has lost. Sandy Hook Facts is the prevailing party over Wolfgang Halbig. And I just wanted to give you that update. He's going to owe a lot of money. I don't know exactly how it gets collected, or if we get it out of his estate when he passes away, or how we proceed, or if I can sell the judgment to a collection agency. I just don't know. So, or have the sheriff go and collect up his assets. That's what would happen in California. So I'm going to look into all these things as we get final numbers and final rulings. There's also interest. I'm going to be entitled to interest because he did not do what he was supposed to do in post-bond for this appeal. So the award has been gathering interest, and I think it's going to be the final number plus interest. It's just going to be a very big number. It's well-deserved by me. I don't think any number is going to replace the costs he's cost and the heartache and pain he's caused so many people. But Halbig has been defeated in court again by Sandy Hook Facts. He is the big dragon, and he has been proverbially slain. This is, of course, not a threat. I don't threaten him. I take action against him in the courts. And I will do so again to any hoaxer who attempts to infringe on my free speech rights to expose you guys. So, anyway, that is free speech. And this is sandyhookfacts.com. Have a good one.